Good morning everybody and welcome to the Tis the Damn Readathon vlog. I'm actually starting this vlog on day 3. It's Wednesday. Hello Wednesday. I hope your Wednesday's going well. The last 2 days I've been feeling quite bad with my mental health, so I didn't want to vlog when in that space, even though that I can appreciate being authentic and vlogging at that point because I have before. I really wasn't in the space and I didn't want to broadcast that. Really wasn't in the mood. But it is day 3 of the readathon and I have already read I've already read Orphan Monster Spy by Matt Keeling. I gave it a 3 star because 2.5 just didn't really seem accurate. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It's kind of like okay. Also, there's a trigger warning for like minor sexual assault, so just putting that out there for anyone that wants to read that book. You'll hear me talk more about it in my wrap up at the end of the month, but so far that's where we're at with the readathon. Also, I wanted to switch things up a little bit and do my January wrap up within this vlog. It's going to be kind of a quick fire, more casual kind of wrap up because I've tried to film this. I've tried to film it so many times and the motivation just wasn't there. And I put this down to the fact that I have since branched more into the fantasy genre and I'm no longer really tied down to the contemporaries and the adult romance. That's not to say that I won't ever pick them up again, but when talking about most of these books, I just don't want to talk about them. So we're going to do a quick fire wrap up, and any information that I don't share in this video, which will be what the books are about, I'll just link them in the description if you're interested, if you've heard about them before and you just want to go buy them. So the first book I read in January was Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is a book that I anticipated for a long time but I just put off, and I really wish I didn't because I did end up giving it 5 stars. It was amazing. I really loved the way that it dealt with the complexity of grief, because that is such a complex thing, and the way the main character went about it, where she was hating her dad but also missing him and feeling like she never really knew him. It was beautiful, so I loved that. The next book I read was Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I'm going from the top of my brain here. This is all in one take, so I'm probably gonna miss out some and then there'll be cuts. But Well Met by Jen DeLuca. It's about love at It is about a hate to love romance at a Renaissance fair, and you don't need to go into this book with any prior knowledge of Renaissance fairs. The book kind of sorts that out for you. I went in with little to no knowledge on them, and the town that it was set in felt so much like Stars Hollow in a way. That's what I usually think about when I read a book in a small town. So I gave that 4 stars. Everyone else seems to really love this book and I didn't love it. I haven't picked it Well Played just yet. I do own it, but I haven't picked it up just yet. It kind of disappointed me in a way because it was so hyped up, but I still liked it. The third book I read, well, we're gonna go downhill. I'm gonna tell you all the books that disappointed me, so don't hate me, but even if you do, I won't lose sleep over it. I hated Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is the first book I've ever read by Leigh Bardugo, and I do own Six of Crows now and I'm really interested in reading it. I'm not going to write her off just because I really hated this book, but it's nothing to do with her talent. I think she has a beautiful writing style, but I really hated this book and I struggled through it. I tried so hard not to DNF it. In the end, I gave it 1 star. And I just want to put it out there. I don't want to talk about this book again, so I'm just putting this in the vlog. I don't want to talk about it again. The second book that disappointed me was from NetGalley, and that is Shipped by Angie Hockman. I gave it 2 stars. It's pitched as a hybrid of The Hating Game and The Unhoneymooners. The Unhoneymooners was one of my favourite books of 2020. I feel like my anxiety is coming through the screen. I feel quite anxious right now, and I should go deal with that before I read, so I'm gonna do that. But yeah, Shipped by Angie Hockman. I just didn't feel the vibes that I felt with The Unhoneymooners, which is fair enough because it's by different authors, but it wasn't for me. The next disappointing read was Revenge of the Sluts by Natalie Walton. I think this book was originally a Wattpad book. I liked it. I gave it a 3 star, but it was quite disappointing because I just expected more of it. The main reason I've given it a 3 star is because I think the conversation of revenge porn is really important, especially in the teenage community. I'm 21, I'm not a teenager anymore, but when I was in school, it was a big thing where people's nudes would get leaked and there was little to no support for that person. And this book starts the conversations needed. It is set in the US and there's no laws in place for that kind of crime. So it did that well. Only I kind of expected more from it because I have read the exact opposite of OK by Laura Stephen, which also deals with that topic, and I feel like it executed it so much better than this book did. Also, the main character was quite bland and boring, and I just couldn't get behind her, and it gave me a headache, and she wasn't for me. She was just so boring. Then my last disappointing read was Castle School for Troubled Girls by Alyssa I'm going to link the book in the description. I don't know what her second name is, but this was one of my most anticipated books for 2021. So you can imagine how disappointed I was when I read it, and I just really didn't like it. On a brighter note, we're going to go into all my more favourite books of the month. Starting off with Sorry Not Sorry by Naya Rivera. I'm not a person that rates non-fiction, but if I did, I would give it a 5 star. She seemed like such a wonderful, wonderful person, and I grew up watching Glee. Santana's storyline was really important to me. I'm bisexual, if you didn't know. And Santana's lesbian storyline really spoke to me. It was really special to me. This was the only show that made me feel like I was part of something, like I had a place in the world, and it made me feel seen as a person. So Glee's really important to me, but I got to know Naya through this book, and obviously this book made me feel closer to Naya. I did feel quite a lot of grief when she passed, and she is a wonderful, wonderful person. I found myself laughing and smiling and crying and being angry for her throughout this book. It does read like you're having a conversation with a trusted friend or an older sister, and I loved that. I loved hearing her voice and having her tell her own story, and the parts at the end of the chapters where she would write a list of things that she's sorry and not sorry for. I think it just added an extra dose of Naya to this book. So I listened to that, and it was amazing. Then we have a 5 star, which was The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. You're probably tired of hearing about this book because it makes its way around the various booktube circles. It's absolutely amazing. I read this book when I was feeling really depressed, and I loved the way that it made me feel and the way it made me think. It was really powerful, and I recommend this book to anyone and everyone, especially if you're in a bad place with your mental health. It will put everything in perspective for you. 2 more books left. First one being Lovely War by Julie Berry. It took me ages to get my hand on this book. I wanted it for a long time after I heard Hayley from Hayley in Bookland talk about it. It was one of her favourite books of 2020. And every time I went to buy it, it either went up in price or it was out of stock. So in the end, I ended up getting it from a book depository. I usually get my books from Amazon. I'm an avid, loyal and Amazon person. So I got it from Book Depository, and it's a romance with love stories told by the Greek gods, mainly Aphrodite, the goddess of love. That just added the pizzazz to the book. I gave it a 4.5 star. It wasn't quite a 5-star for me, but it still was amazing. And the last book I want to talk about is part of a series. I am so happy that the first series I read in the fantasy genre ended up being incredible, and it's probably going to be one of my favourite series of all time going forward. And that is The Diviners by Libba Bray. We're back after a brief interlude, which I don't want to talk about, so let's just get back into it. I think I was talking about The Diviners by Libba Bray, which is essentially all about a group of really gifted magical people who have to save the city of 1920s New York. That's the basis of the whole series, but the first book is about Evie, who's a little bit of a troublemaker. She's causing a bit of trouble, especially when it comes to the gift that she has in the city that she lives in. And her gift is object reading, so she could hold something that someone owns and she can reveal their secrets and their memories whilst that item is in their possession. So after a big scandal, her parents don't know what to do with her anymore, and they send her away to live with her Uncle Will. And Uncle Will owns this magical, fantastical, kind of paranormal museum. And during this time that Evie's in New York, there's a lot of murder. During the time Evie's in New York, there's a lot of murders happening, and they all seem to be linked. So she decides to use her gift to try and solve the murder. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I want to say. I want people to go into this book with minimal knowledge, because that is the best way to go into a book. I gave it 5 stars. I love this series so much. I want to talk about it all the time, but I don't want to talk about it too much in this vlog or even the wrap up, because I want to do a big video when I've finished King of Crows. A big video why you should read the Diviners, and some spoilery thoughts at the end for a discussion with people that have read the book. That is the plan. So they're all the books that I read in January. I'm about to start Lore by Alexandra Bracken. Just this cover is absolutely gorgeous. It gives me Medusa vibes. I feel like the character of Lore is going to be based on Medusa, but this is a mythological fantasy. That's all I really know about it, so I'm just going to read the back. Hunt or be hunted. In modern day New York, a murderous game is about to begin. In Aegon, every 7 years for 1 week only, Zeus punishes the gods and makes them mortal. Forced to walk the earth, they're savagely hunted by the descendants of ancient bloodlines, who are eager to kill a god and seize their divine power and immortality. After her family was brutally murdered by a rival lion, Lore Perseus We will do name checks soon. Fled, turning her back on the Aegon's cruel promises of eternal glory. For years, Law has honoured her parents' memory by doing one thing: surviving. For years, she has pushed away dark thoughts of revenge until now. As the next game dawns, Law finds Athena gravely wounded on her doorstep. The goddess offers her an alliance against their mutual enemy and a way to leave the Aegon behind forever. But Law's decision to rejoin the hunt will come at a deadly cost, and may not be enough to stop the rise of a new god with the power to destroy all of humanity. I think it sounds incredible. I'm reading this for the YA prompt for the Fearless album. I don't know if I've already mentioned that this is a readathon vlog for the Tis the Damn readathon, aka the Taylor Swift readathon. But I'm reading this for that prompt. I'm all over the place. I haven't vlogged in such a long time, and I don't know how to talk to humans because my human contact has been minimal in the past few months. But we're gonna go with it and see how much more comfortable I get throughout the vlog. But I am really tired, and if I'm being honest, I feel quite trapped and anxious and frustrated, so I want to take a nap because I'm also really tired. I got woken up really early and I didn't have a good sleep last night, so I'm gonna take a nap and then I'm gonna start the book, and at some point, possibly today, possibly tomorrow, I will check in and we'll have a little chat about how far I got and the contents of the book. So we're gonna go do that now.
Okay, so should we do a reading sprint? Listen, I said this last time. Let's start with a reading sprint straight away, and then that was like the only reading sprint we did.
I'm currently doing sprints with Meg, Molly, Riley, and a new person. And I'm reading Law, and I just want to talk about this part of the book where it says it wasn't the world falling in on him, it was an illusion shattering, the one that told him he deserved everything and that it was owed to him simply because he existed. I can't count how many people I've met, mainly men, because this is talking about a boy, that believe this. Like, we love to see it. We love to see it in a book, something that we can relate to. I think you can see the castor oil under my eye, so that's all good. It is now the next day, and I'm currently on page 164. We're looking a mess, but we'll just ignore that so I can get in my little update. I was gonna update you guys a few days later, but I'm coming in with an early update because I want to talk about some theories that I have. So if you haven't read the book, I'm gonna put a timestamp on the screen so you can skip ahead. But before we get into that, I did sprints yesterday on Meg with Books channel. We also played a game of Kahoot, which was really fun, and had a discussion about robots. It was hilarious. It was great. I really enjoyed that conversation. I joined. I wasn't in the live. But I read 18 pages during those reading sprints, and all in all yesterday I read 28 pages. So not much, but it wasn't a good day for me. However, today I did another round of sprints on India's channel and I read 40 pages. So I'm now on page 164. So they're my updates. And now for my theory. So I have this theory, this feeling that Athena has ulterior motives, in the sense that perhaps she wants to pretend that she's an ally and that she's working with Law, but really she's working against her. Maybe she wants to kill Law to take her powers, because I'm starting to feel like Law may be similar to Emma from Once Upon a Time. Maybe Law is that person that will save everyone in this mythological system, if we could call it that. So if you haven't watched Once Upon a Time, Emma's the savior. She's the one that could save absolutely everybody, but she's unaware of the power that she has. She's unaware of who she is, because she grew up as a human, as an orphan at that. I feel like Law is one of those people that are not really aware of their power, and she's going to come into it much later, and Athena already knows that. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Also, I'm really loving the character of Cass. I'm loving Cass. At first I thought, maybe like Athena, he's someone that Law can't trust, because he's definitely not the person that he was when he was 12, and that's when she knew him, and understandably no one's gonna be the same person they were at 12 now. But I love Cass. I love how he took a stand and said that he wasn't gonna let the children be groomed in this society. I love how he just took a stand for himself, and I feel like he's quite a strong leader, but he just doesn't know that yet. That's really all I can say. That's all that's happened so far. I'm really, really loving this book. Some of the mythology stuff is going over my head, I'll be honest. But so far, I'm really loving it. I love Cass. I love how badass Law is. She's just such a bad bee. I love a BB. I really, really love a BB. Yeah, that's my update. I'm not going to read any more tonight. I'm going to relax and watch the final episode of Jane the Virgin. I've rewatched this show like 5, maybe 6 times since it ended now. And honestly, I'm feeling grief. I want to go back and watch it again, but at the same time, it's cutting it a bit close because I have watched it this month and some of last month. So I may actually rewatch Once Upon a Time. Yeah, I actually might do that, because now that I've started to think about Emma, I might start rewatching Once Upon a Time again. This vlog's gonna be really long, because I've started editing already, and I think the first 10 minutes is me doing my January wrap up, and this may as well not be a reading vlog, because we haven't really talked about the book I'm actually reading now. Anyway, we'll see how this ends. We'll see. It may be a part 1, part 2 situation, but yeah. I'm planning to read, at least 250 pages tomorrow, because I want to get this book read and move on to my second one, which, spoiler alert, it might be Ember in the Ashes, but it might be Legendborn. It's between those two. Yeah, I'm gonna sign off. I'm gonna go watch Jane the Virgin. I'm gonna enjoy my night, and I hope everyone is doing well. And this is so awkward. Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna breathe and I'm just gonna say what I need to say. So I've just finished Law by Alexandra Bracken. I'm not gonna lie, the last part of the book had me struggling through. I didn't want to DNF anything early on in this readathon, just because I have never ever completed a readathon before, and I've never had a streak in a readathon. I've never had a streak in a readathon where I haven't DNF'd books. So what I want to say, and here's the thing, just hear me out. I really enjoyed the first part of this book. The first and the middle part of this book was really, really great, and I was intrigued and I was there and I was flying through it. Absolutely love the character of Cass. Cass is my favourite character in this book. Also, I really like Miles, and I've already said it, but Law is a badass bitch. I really just loved her in the beginning. But when we get to the end of the book, it goes downhill for me. For me, it just goes downhill, and it got boring quickly, and I was just struggling through. And I'm so disappointed because I expected so much more from this. Obviously, I've read some Greek mythology before. I've read Lovely War, and I gave that 4 stars. It was amazing. But this just didn't do the same thing for me. And it wasn't meant to, of course, because they're both in different genres. But I can't even talk. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. This week's been really painful. And it's the first week of the readathon, so I am barely hanging on. I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. But now that I think about it, I think I want to give it 3 stars. Just because 2.5 stars doesn't do the beginning and the middle justice. So we'll go with 3 stars, but the end of it is a bit of a 2-star situation. I didn't really like the ending. I feel like it went out of its genre a bit. It kind of reads like a romance book at the end, and I just didn't like it. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that. And I can't even speak. I can't even speak. So we're now 2 books into the readathon, and I've got 2 3-star reads. I'm hoping for some 5 stars. I've got plans, my TBR. I'm just kind of releasing what I'm reading throughout these vlogs instead of posting a TBR video. But I'm hoping I like the other books better. Most of them are fantasy. We also have another mythology read, which I really, really, really hope is better than this. I can barely speak. I can barely speak right now. Part of me wants to go in and read my other book, which will be in another vlog, but I'm also really tired, so I may just end the vlog here and watch Once Upon a Time. I fancy watching Once Upon a Time or the Lizzie McGuire movie. For some reason, I've got that song in my head from the Lizzie McGuire movie. I like that, oh. I'm embarrassing myself, and it's got nothing to do with law, so I don't know why I'm still holding it up. But that is the end of this reading vlog. I hope you enjoyed this. I know it was a bit all over the place and it's long, but we're going to do better next week. We're going to do better next week because I'll be coming at you with Legendborn. We're reading Legendborn next, and I'm so excited about that. So yeah, I'm sending you lots of love. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you on my next vlog.